What's good, peeps? What is good? We're back, obviously. I left the hotel about 45 minutes ago. It's just coming up to 9:30 in the morning. I wanted to get back for a couple of reasons early. A, to come and do a video. B, to go to the gym, because I've been eating shit for the last 3-4 days. And C, to go to the studio to see what progress has been made. Hopefully, in terms of like the cosmetic work, hopefully it's all done. Fingers crossed. I'm going to go there about 1 o'clock and see what's what. Apologies for yesterday. I started actually doing a behind the scenes video. It just got too busy for me. It got so busy that I couldn't do it. And I felt like it would have maybe looked rude to the DAZN people if I'm like supposed to be doing shit and I'm filming. Do you know what I mean? So I thought, I was a bit disappointed with myself for not being able to do a final one because, like, you know, we done the presser, we done the weigh-in. It would have been nice to have done fight night, but it just got so busy, peeps. So apologies that there was no behind the scenes videos. I know you guys have enjoyed them, so we're definitely going to do them next week as well. I'm going to do better ones next week. I'm going to make it a lot better, but it's good to show you guys kind of what goes on behind the scenes. What I might do next week, like I've always started from the hotel, like driving, right? I might actually start in the hotel where all the fighters are so we can get some fighters on because they're happy to come on camera and say a few words. So yeah, we'll definitely do that next week. I was going to say something else and I've completely forgot. Hopefully my memory will kick in a bit later. Let's just quickly run through what was in the end an entertaining fight card, right? This is weird. This is the thing with boxing. You can have superstar versus superstar. It doesn't mean it's going to be a good fight. Sometimes you can get people that you've not really heard of, like who heard of Mark Bennett? Put your hand up, really. No, none of you, be honest, knew who Mark Bennett was before, or at least I don't think the majority of you did. And then in the end, him and Babic had a great shootout. But let's start at the top. It's only right that we start with the IBF featherweight title fight between Kid Galahad and Jazza Dickens. I'm shocked about Kid Galahad's performance. I am, because two reasons. I interviewed Kid Galahad on Thursday and he was still pretty big. I thought on Thursday he looked like he weighed around 140. No joke. And I think I could see that because at the weigh-ins he looked gaunt. And don't forget the IBF have a rehydration clause. So in the morning of the fight, he couldn't have been higher than 136. Yeah. So I was like, he's going to struggle. He's going to struggle. And obviously after the morning, you can then sort of build up a bit. So he probably walked into the ring around 142, 143, but maybe even a bit more than that. But I thought, Kid Galahad's going to look really strong for the first half of the fight. Then Jazza Dickens is going to come on strong in the second half. And then it's going to be a close decision. In the end, it was nothing like that. It was a dominant performance from Kid Galahad. Boxed beautifully, looked very strong. He's the master of the dark arts, a lot of elbows, you know, his head gets stuck in, but it's sometimes part and parcel of the sport. But he just looked a level above Jazza. And that's no disrespect to Jazza Dickens, that he came to fight. But Kid Galahad showed that he's ready to go to that next level. He's the world champion. He should go to the next level. And what I mean by that is Navarreti's out there, Gary Russell Jr. is out there, maybe even a Ruben Villar, or even like a kind of a semi-British dust-up with Isaac Dogbo. I say semi because obviously Isaac, Ghanaian, based in America, but has trained and has lived over here. So look, there are opportunities for him. There's even the Josh Warrington rematch if Josh gets past Mauricio Lara, but their first fight was a bit of a stinker. So I don't know how many people are going to be interested in that. But yeah, Kid Galahad looked really, really good. And again, it shocks me as to how good he looked. I thought he was going to look good because he's a great boxer, but I did think he was going to tire in the second half of the fight. And if anything, he got stronger. And Jazza, who had a game plan, a very good one as well. I spoke to Tony Bellew and Derry Matthews in the lead up to it. Tony Bellew's his manager. And I was speaking about his game plan. And I think he almost forgot the game plan, as it is, right? I mean, you can only dictate your game plan if you're the better boxer, and he wasn't able to dictate it. In the end, Kid got the win and moves on. For Jazza, heel up. I don't know how old Jazza is. I think it's about 31, 32. Heel up, and then maybe come again. That's all you can do, right? You just know where he is now. He's European level, fringe world. Maybe have a look at the European champion. I don't know who that is off the top of my head, and then go again. Let's go co-main event, which was the English heavyweight title fight between Fabio Wardley and Webb. Again, kind of surprised me that I knew it was going to be a shootout just because, again, I spoke to Nick Webb and Fabio in the lead up to it, and Nick was very pumped and ready for this one. And Fabio just keeps on getting better. Again, this is the guy from a white collar boxing background. There is no amateur background with Fabio Wardley. White collar boxing. For him to be 12-0 and 11 stoppages, you've got to commend that. I mean, he's the English champion and he's now ready to go for British honours. That's not bad. Even if it stops there, even if he doesn't get past that, he doesn't get to European and fringe world, even if it stops at British level, that's very, very impressive. Again, coming from a white collar background. He got tagged. He got tagged in that fight, and he is very Amir Khan-like, and once he gets tagged, that almost pisses him off and wakes him up, and then he just goes for the kill. Amir Khan's done that before, and it's been to his detriment, but Fabio Wardley, it's where his success comes from, because he's a very laid-back character anyway, and I feel like just when you wake him up, it pisses him off. And in the end, got the stoppage. A few people that are watching it at home were texting me saying, should the referee have not given Nick Webb a count? I don't know, Nick just slumped in the corner. And I always look for a reaction after. Like we've seen it in recent fights when people have been stopped or waved off when they don't. Look at Carlos Takam, for example. When his fight with Joe Joyce was waved off correctly, he went mad. Nick Webb just kind of was like, accepted it. Which I thought was a bit of a disappointing performance from Nick Webb. It was a shootout, but after coming off that good Eric Pfeiffer win, this was a good opportunity for him. It was get the English title, and then he maybe can call out some of the British level guys and take them on. Bit of a disappointing performance. I'm not quite sure where he goes. He's always going to be there or thereabouts because he's got a name. He's got a couple of good wins, especially when you think of the Pfeiffer one. So he'll be a good, almost gatekeeper for British level guys. Like, don't be shocked if you don't see him versus David Adeleye in a couple of fights. So we'll see what happens. As for the next heavyweight fight on the card, what was that? That was Babic, right? Alan Babbitt versus Mark Bennett. Again, I didn't know too much about Mark Bennett prior to this one. Alan Babic, I love Alan Babic. He's such a good character, but it's almost like I don't want this story to end, what he's doing, but they've got to be very, very careful. Very careful. He's given away way too much. He gave away £60 yesterday. £60. Think about that. That's ridiculous. And the higher he climbs, he's always going to give that away. Like 30 years ago, Alan Babic might have been a normal sized heavyweight. There were big heavyweights, but he might have fitted in, right? You think of how much the likes of Ken Norton weighed. A, he's not as good as those type of guys. And B, he's just too small. He's just too small. He hit Bennett yesterday with everything. Like me, I was up on the bus looking down at the fight, so I had a really good view. And I was up there with the guys from Undefeated Podcast. Go and check their YouTube out if you haven't already done it. And we were like, ooh, every time Babic landed. And we're like, how is Mark Bennett still staying there? But what was risky was that Babic was swinging for the fences. And there's a couple of times where he got caught. And I'm thinking, if he fights anyone just a couple of levels above Bennett that can crack, then this Babic, the Savage thing's done. Obviously he's playing a bit of a character, right? And it's all done. So they've got to just match him carefully. And I say they, Dylan White's his manager, right? And Eddie, they've got to really match him carefully and just put him in with fights where you can keep this story going. Because I'm not quite sure how far he can go as a heavyweight. As a cruiserweight, I mean, I don't think he can get to the top as a cruiser, but he might get to European level as a cruiser. And then he'll be in some fun fights, even the bridgerweight. But as a heavyweight, where all the guys are 6'6", 6'5", 18, 19 stone. Nah. It's weird because Dillian White was there yesterday with Chisora, Joe Joyce. They were just sort of walking around, and you look at the size of these men. And then Babic came, Babic is probably 1.5 inches taller than me. That's it. And I think we weigh, what was he, 97 kilos or something? I'm 92. It doesn't even make sense, me fighting. That just makes me laugh, me fighting AJ. You know what I mean? Me fighting those kind of guys, those size kind of guys is crazy. But well done to him. Well done to Mark Bennett as well for coming to fight. Mark Bennett put on a show. That was fight of the night. It came to fight, Mark Bennett did. So congratulations, and congratulations to Babic. Obviously proposed to his girlfriend after. Ebony Bridges took on Beck Connolly. Obviously, the last time we saw Ebony Bridges was when she fought Shannon Courtney and got beat. This time she was up against a girl that had been beaten, I think 9 times, Beck. But you look at there's a couple of things here. You look at who she's fought: Tasha Jonas, Terry Harper, Rachel Ball, decent names, right? Ellie Scott, who I think is going to do good things. But she never ever, and I spoke to her about this, she never ever gets a camp. It's almost a case of, Beck, what are you doing? And she gets sometimes 6 or 7 days to not only try and get in shape, but then make the weight. For this fight, she actually got a decent camp. She said she got 3 to 4 weeks notice, which for her is a lot of notice. So she came in as good as a shape as she was ever going to come in. And I was interested to see how Ebony would put on a performance against her, considering that Beck is in good shape. But Ebony looked good. She looked good. She looked strong. And in the end, she got a stoppage, which is a very, very big statement. It's a big statement for her to get the stoppage over Beck. And we'll see if it's a quick enough turnaround for her to go on the Leeds card. Obviously, Warrington versus Lara. Obviously, she's like an adopted Leeds fan, and they would go crazy for her there. Doesn't have to be in against anyone of note, but just her on the card, I think would be pretty good. And then you maybe try and start build the Shannon Courtney rematch. That's who she wants next. So, yeah, we'll see what they can do with that. Johnny Fisher, the Romford Bull, got the win against Danny Whittaker. I saw Danny Whittaker about an hour ago at breakfast, and he was very, just happy. It was weird. This is the guy that got stopped, right? But he was just so happy. He said he gave up boxing recently just because he has a full-time job. It's not like he's going anywhere, and this is not being disrespectful, so why do it? But he said the experience of fighting here, just like staying in the hotels, mingling with the other fighters, meeting. Remember, he's still very much a fan of the sport as well, meeting the likes of Joe Joyce and Dillian White and getting some good money. It's kind of made him, he says, kind of reevaluate. He's going to get in better shape. He's going to try and get on one of these cards again. And even if it's to fight a prospect, right? Even if he's there as the challenger, just to get on these cards, experience it. And he was so happy that he made the live portion of the DAZN broadcast. So he was the first fight on it. So people got to see him. And it's those kind of stories that you really love. I love those kind of stories anyway, where, I didn't know who he was before. And now he's kind of put his name out there, him get in a bit better shape. And then you never know. And finally, the final fight, we'll see if there's any other stories that we can talk about before we go. But the final fight was, or the first fight on the card was Akib Fias, who takes his record to 7-0. He fought Kevin Baldespino. Now, I'll tell you this. I will tell you this, and this is no bullshit. Hopefully, you saw it on the DAZN broadcast, because I've been saying it since Thursday. I knew from just seeing Baldespino, just seeing him. He was having dinner with his trainer. Couldn't speak a lick of English, not one word. But he just looked tough. And I was like, yo, is that the guy that Akib Fias is fighting? I said, he's going to be a problem. I hadn't seen him train. I didn't watch any of his fights. I didn't even see him hit the pads. I just said he looks hard as nails. And he doesn't look like a journeyman. His face isn't battered. He just looked ready to go. He looked fixer. At the weigh-ins, he took his top off. And look, this is not how you judge a fighter. This is very basic stuff I'm telling you now. But he took his top off, and I was like, yo, this is going to be a problem. And it's going to be a problem because Akib Fias can't punch. He's a good fighter, but he hasn't got the punch, right? 7 wins, no stoppages. And this guy, Baldespino's never been stopped. 5 defeats, but never been stopped. And I was like, yo, he's going to cause Akib Fias so many problems. And he did. He did, what was it, 77-76 on the scorecards. Now, I didn't watch the first 2 rounds, so it's difficult for me to say whether that was fair or not. But I will say 77-76 on your home event. I mean, you can make your own judgment about that. If that fight's in Baldespino's backyard, does he get it? Probably does, right? So they need to be very careful with Fias. That they're matching him quite hard, and I feel like he's taken a lot of shots too early. I saw him after, and his face was a bit marked up, and I'm like, that's Kane Bacon now and Baldespino that they would have hoped he would have beat more comfortably, and he struggled. Now, some might counter that by saying, yeah, but he's getting good rounds, he's learning hard, and I don't know. I feel like you breed confidence in these fighters when you put them in there with people they're supposed to kind of knock over. And then it kind of gives them, it might be false confidence, but it gives them confidence nonetheless. And I feel they might now look at him, kind of reassess what they do with him. I don't know what fight deal we signed with to Matchroom. I don't know if he's got any more fights left, but I think they need to take him out of the firing line a little bit and just matching up with guys that maybe he can bowl over. And I do think he's going to want to get a stoppage quickly as well. I mean, that will play on his head that, is he a puncher? Imagine that. So you've had the 7 fights, you've not got stoppages. I don't think he's even got, I think maybe he's got a couple of knockdowns, maybe one. But it will play on his head that he'll think that every time he's in a ring, he's going the distance. Like every time he's in the ring and he's in the trenches, this is going to be war because he doesn't have the pop to get rid of the fighters. That might stick with him. All right, guys. Obviously, we're back there next week for Boatsi Bolotniks. Jordan Gill's on that fight card as well. Hopi Price is on that fight card. Mickinson's on that fight card. I think they're hoping to get 1 or 2 more on there because I don't think Tasha Jonas is fighting on it anymore, and nor is Ellie Scottney. There was talk about Conor Benn fighting on that fight card, but he's not. He's going to be on the Headingley fight card. That Headingley fight card is looking pretty good, you know. Looking pretty good. What have we got? Is there any news? Oh, God. Is this good? I don't even know if I want to read this out to you. Robert Easter facing charges of assault for allegedly punching a woman. Jeez. All right, no, that's it really. Let's just do it that. We are going to do Sunday Session Live today. We'll do it about 7 o'clock, but I will put it in the community tab. Peace and love as always, people.